Hello again, it's Elizabeth and I'm over here in my art loft, and the other day I did a walkthrough of my Secret Garden junk journal, and today I'm going to get started on making the box for it. My Secret Garden and the box have been sold, so I'm happy with that, but I have to get them made before I can send them off. So here we go with making the box for my Secret Garden. First thing I'm going to do is make a box bottom, and the box bottom is going to hold the box securely, hold the book securely, and then the top is planned to have a hinge in the back and come up and over the book and have a closure in the front. Now, I've done several that are similar but not exactly like this. I just make them up as I go, and they seem to work out. I did myself a little drawing. First I measured my book to see how tall and wide and everything else it was. And it's 9 inches high exactly and 6 inches across exactly. Well, no, a little bit less than 6 inches across. And it's about 2.5 inches high. Of course, that's when I don't squish it. And I put 2 3/4 just to be sure that there'd be enough room if we decided to if someone decided to put a lot more stuff in it. Anyway, so I drew a picture of the box that I'm planning to make, and this is the bottom of it, and it would be 6.5 inches across. So I cut 2 pieces of cardboard, one here and one somewhere else that I don't know where I'll put it. Nope, not under there. Okay, I put it over there on the other table, but that's okay. 2 pieces of cardboard, one for the bottom, one for the top, exactly the same. And I like to have my sides sit on the bottom rather than when you're making a box, you can either have it come to the outside of the bottom or you can have it sit on the bottom. And I like it to sit there, so that's why I made it 6.5 inches. The board that I'm using is called Davy board, or 3X board, I believe it's called. And you can probably get that online. The particular ones I have here are archival ones because that's what I had in my studio. Otherwise, I would have probably used this cheap stuff for a junk journal, but, you know, what's money? When you already got it, you already got it. Okay, so I'm going to be gluing up the box, and then I'm going to cover it with this red paper, red book cloth, which I had in my stash. And it's really pretty close to it. I don't have any gold that would look this color, so I'm not going to be able to use that kind of thing. So it's just going to be this red book cloth, and it is a little coarser texture, but it works out pretty well. Okay, so getting to gluing up the box, the art glitter glue should make that really easy since I have a little tiny skinny top on it. And the way that I do that, let's move this out of the way. And I have it'll work. Okay, and we want to make sure that that's kind of straight. And then we just get started, which take our pin out and we glue along the edge. And you want to make a nice thick bunch of glue, but you don't want it to seep out much because that's annoying. You have to clean up all that mess if it seeps out, because then it is in the way of your paper and everything else when you're covering it. And I like to actually spread my glue out a little bit, and that's why you have paper towels or scrap paper or whatever to use. And there we have it. And get it off of this side, put a little more right there, and then we just glue it up. And I just eyeball it, make it come to the edge, and then clean off any excess glue. And then I clean off any excess glue on the inside as well. I usually have a spare piece of cardboard, which I don't have today. I'm looking for something I can use. Okay, so we're going to get rid of that extra glue on this paper towel over here. If I can get this paper towel out. Yep, there we go. Okay, so that side sits up pretty well, and it looks pretty good. And you can make sure that it's straight like that, and then of course you knock it off of the thing, but that's okay because it goes right back on. And we will, when we've got the paper and the cloth on the outside of it, then it will be secure, not moving, so on. Okay, Now, if you have done your measuring correctly and done your cutting correctly, then it should match up at this end and it should match up at this end. And it does, yay. So now I take one of my side pieces, my end pieces in this case, sorry, and I'm going to put the one down here first. So I'm going to put glue. I know I got out of picture frame, sorry about that. Glue along this edge. And glue along this edge. Make sure I've got that glue spread out nicely. Make sure it's not too much on that side. And then we're going to put that into this corner. Now, I hope you can see where we're putting that into this corner. And we want to make sure it lines up on the edge. And up against the edge of this one so that our corner is nice and even. Now, some people put extra piece of paper around this corner. I don't usually do that. I don't see that it being necessary, but it can be done. And if we've done our cutting properly, then we'll have just enough space over here to put this other edge on. And we do. But I usually put both ends on first. I like to push them down, make sure they're adhered to the box. And the other one now. So we want it on this edge and this edge. Make sure I'm in frame here. Oh, come on, glue. Why are you coming out in little bobbles instead of a nice little line? Okay. Spread that out. You want to make sure when you're spreading it out not to run your finger very close against it, because you can get paper cuts from these things. It's not fun, not at all. Get all the excess glue off the outside, off the inside, and we're ready to glue that. Again, put it at the very edge. Okay, just make sure that stays at the edge while it's getting glued, and make sure that stays up against it, because sometimes this will lean just a little bit and it's not up against it. Come on, you glue. Okay. So for this one, we want to put the glue along the bottom side, but then on the sides here we want to put the glue along this edge rather than this edge, because it's going to go up against these edges of these parts. Okay, so let's do this part first. We'll do up against this and on this edge, and make sure that we spread that out a little bit. And then spread that a little bit too. Okay, so we don't want to take all time to put it on there because it does dry pretty quickly, and we want to make sure that it's even this way. Clean off my finger with the glue, and then we can make sure it's even this way. And you might want to hold your bottom up against the side so that it gets nicely glued to it, and make sure that this stays down against this side. And if you have where some glue comes out, you can usually scrape it off with your fingernail. Now that looked easy, didn't it? Make sure these are glued. And then you're ready to cover this bottom of the box. When I do my hinges, I'm going to add a whole nother side to it and another front to it, so that it will be double thickness on the front and back. It will be single thickness on the whole thing. But it is sturdy material. It doesn't really have to be any thicker than it is now. Okay, so to cover it, I've cut a piece of the cloth, which has a little bit of fuzz on it. And I simply sit this in the middle of it. And how can I tell it's the middle? Well, I can pull this up on the sides and see how far it comes up on the sides. And I can pull this up top and bottom. Okay, so we're going to put some little guidelines for ourselves. Come on, get up on the side there. I'm just grabbing a pencil. And I should put this stuff back in my glitter glue before it becomes gooey glue. Put that little top thing back in there. Okay, and then we'll do this direction. Get out of the way, paper towel. And pull it up about even on each edge. And then make a little mark here. And that will give us then roughly where we're supposed to put where we should put our box when we lay it down there. And I forgot to bring over my yes paste. I prefer yes paste to do the gluing on of the papers and the book cloth, because the yes paste has a little bit longer time before it sets up, and it's an archival glue, and I usually put it on the box, and sometimes I put it on the cloth too, the book cloth too. But the yes paste is it's kind of a like honey consistency. It actually comes thicker than this, but I water it down a little bit because I don't like it too thick. It makes it harder to use, I think. But you want a good amount so that it has enough that it can glue onto it. And of course you want it all over. Don't have to go in just one direction, but I usually make it like that. You don't want too watered down, because then the water affects your stretching of your papers and your everything. You don't want it very, very wet. Okay, so we're ready to do this. Clean off my glue off my finger, and we take our box, and then we've got our outline already. So we just set it in the outline, and the first part is done. Now, if we wanted to, we could go ahead and put a weight in here overnight, but I usually go ahead and do the rest of the glue up on this, and it works out fine, so we don't really need to do that. Make sure that our corners are all set down there, and I usually turn it over and make sure that it is smooth on here. If you decide to use your bone folder to make sure it's smooth, be sure to put a piece of paper in between your bone folder and your book cloth, because your book cloth can become shiny if you don't do that, and it's not that pretty that way, unless you want it that way, and then go ahead and do it. Okay, so we have good adhesion there. Maybe we have good adhesion there. Yeah, let's make sure it's just really good. We don't want any air bubbles, obviously. Put the bone folder over there, put my stuff over there. Yep, that's just the way the cloth looks. Okay, so I usually, since it's potentially going to sit on a shelf like this, I usually make it so that I do my parts that are going to cover each other. I usually do them to this side then. So what I do here is I take a ruler and I take my X-Acto knife I got a new blade today so that it would be beautiful when I was doing this. And I simply cut from that corner out to the outer edge of this. You see, that is a new blade. That's a good way to do it. Okay, it's a little trickier on this side because you have to put your ruler up against there and then hold it and cut up against your ruler to the outside, and that makes it a little more difficult because you're not used to doing that, really. Yep, I got it. Okay, and the same on this end. Okay. Okay, so now this part's going to get glued up against the edge of the box, like that. Except we don't need all this amount out here, so we're going to cut off part of that. And I usually just eyeball it. Oh, let's not do that. Let's not. Okay, so, and I usually cut out a little divot here so that it makes it less bulk around at the very corner. So I'll cut out a little triangle there about that big. Okay, and then I use my newsprint to give me something so that my glue, when I'm gluing this up, it doesn't go off the edge onto my work surface. And I can move my newsprint out of the way, and I can move my corner out of the way. Get out there, little corner. Put in the trash can like you should be. And then I won't get glue on the outside of my book cloth, because when you get glue on the outside of your book cloth, it's not pretty. Okay, so we do that. We flip that up against the edge. Let's move that newsprint out of the way. Okay, and that's securely on the edge. Can you see that? And now we take our X-Acto knife and we go from this corner up and from this corner to the edge of the book cloth. And then we take out that corner. And I know you can't see really quick, but I'll show you in a second. Take out this little corner here. Don't string there. Okay, so we've taken out a little corner on that side, and we'll take out a little corner on this side. And we really should have this about even along here, so we're going to cut off a little bit more on that. Okay, and now we take our newsprint again. Of course, it's trying to make a mess, because that's what newsprint does. And we will make a little bit of glue along here, and along here, and along here, and then we will be ready to glue that up. Come on, I don't want you getting in the glue. Sit right, baby. Okay, along there, and then along here. Okay. So, I'm going to newsprint out of the way. Stay there, will you? No, of course you won't. Okay, so we push these around the edges, around the sides, and we push this one around the side. And you can use your bone folder on that because that piece is not going to show. And then when we put this on, it cannot go. You see this width of the board there makes it not be able to go directly down into there. So we make a little cut here like this. And a little cut here like this, and that's from that little corner out, and so then it will go on down into the box, and glue right around the edge of the box. Okay, I should have a wet cloth with me, but I don't. I am going to use my bone folder here to make that squared off like the box is, and push that really down into the corners. Turn it around, and we're ready for the other side. So we're going to cut off this excess edge. We're going to make our corners. Cut off the edge. Make our little corner. Come on, stay stuck. Okay, I'll fix that later. Okay, get our newsprint in here. Under here. And I'm just going to put glue on all of that and then do the cutting that I showed you a moment ago and get this end done. And I hold the box so that the flap doesn't move as I'm putting the glue on it, because then sometimes it'll move when you're not expecting it to, and you'll slap your glue brush up underneath of it. You don't want to do that. That's not good. Okay, move the newsprint out. Glue on all of it. So I just pull that up, make my little corner here. Cut that out to the corner. Cut my corner here. And of course the box moved as I did it, so I don't have it straight enough. And cut that out to the corner. Sorry, I can't show you all of that. Sometimes I do have to get it so that I can see it. I try to make it so that you can see all of it. Okay, and we've got that extra little thing there. Let's get rid of that. I should have enough glue on it that we can just push those around the corner. And it did. And then we push this down. You can use your thumbnail on it. And then we're going to make those little cuts at our corner. And that should just tuck right in there. And it does beautifully. Okay. And let's see how we're doing on time. And I'm going to go wash off a little bit of glue, and I'll be back and we'll finish it up before the time's up. I usually just have a damp paper towel sitting around to use when I'm gluing, so that if I get glue on my fingers, I don't put it on the box. Okay, so now we're going to do this side. So we get our newsprint again, and we get a new glue surface that hasn't been used yet. Right along there will be fine. And I'm going to just put glue on all of that. And I hope you can see that okay. I'm just holding the box steady. Okay, and now we can remove the newsprint. Keep from getting a mess. Wipe off my fingers on this semi-wet paper towel. And we can just take our box and fold it over like this onto that. I'm just making sure these ones on the ends are glued well. Okay, so then we'll fold it over here like this. We're going to have that same problem with our, the thickness of the box there. But to alleviate that, what we're going to do is do a bevel cut there, and then a straight cut here, which would be about the same width as the thickness of the board. So you see what I've cut out there is a little 1/8 inch by whatever long that is. We'll toss that in the trash out of our way, and we're going to get a little bit more wet on this paper towel, and so that I can wipe my fingers because I'm getting gooey. Okay, same thing on this side. We're going to do a little divot here So from that corner in, and then out, straight out from that, 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Okay? And then that should fold in just perfectly. And you see we've got little bevel corner cuts. And we just push all that down in there. And I like to use my bone folder in the corners and along the edge there because that's not going to really show. And go ahead and make sure I've got that one secure. And then we're ready for the last one. And we'll finish up for today, and that'll be all we'll show today. And then tomorrow I'll show you how to line this and or put on the top. I think we'll just have time to line it tomorrow, because it does take a while to make these things, you know. Holding it down so it's not moving when I'm trying to put my glue in the certain places. Okay, and we remove this paper again. Throw that in there. Wipe my fingers off because they're wet again, I mean gluey again. I think my paintbrush had some glue on it. Okay, we can just tilt this up like this. Then we have to do those same divots on the corner here. And my X-Acto knife's trying to come loose. So that out to the corner. Then that 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And the same on this side to the corner. And the 1/8 of an inch there. And then we can fold that into the box. And make sure we've got enough glue on it. Stop. X-Acto knife trying to roll off the table. I never like that because I always have to dodge my feet and everything for it. Okay, use my bone folder to make sure that's pushed down into the corners. And you can see how nice that looks with the beveled corners and everything. And we should probably make sure that that edge there is up against the corner. Checking all my corners. And that's it for today. Remember, like, subscribe, share, thumbs up, whatever you need to do. And tomorrow we'll be lining the box. Thank you for watching. Bye.